Hey guys, welcome back to the Smith Shearer YouTube channel. Today what we're going to be doing is installing our chromoly 10-point roll cage. So in this video, I will tell you, is buying a pre-bent roll cage the best choice for you? We're going to answer all the questions you guys want to know. How does it fit? Is it cost effective? Is it worth buying? Will it serve? And the other question is, did you really need it? You just added a bunch of weight to your car. Actually, in the beginning of this process, I took every single pipe and weighed it. Not only will we have that measurement for you guys, we're going to show you how it fits, if it was a waste of money, if it was a giant waste of time. All that's going to be uncovered throughout this video. But for now, watch the whole process of getting this fit up. At the end of this video, I will tell you, was this pre-bent S&W chromoly cage, was it worth it? Our total is going to be 86.4 pounds. It's not that bad. I was hoping it would be closer to 50, but we can take up probably about 20-25 pounds by cutting that door, so I'm not too worried about it. Now we're going to start setting everything in the car, seeing what we got to start with. If you look at other cage kits, they all kind of put just plates down here on the floor. If you know a Volkswagen floor pan, this is very, very thin. It has all these stampings in there to make it strong. This is not an ideal spot for a cage. How this cage kit has it is basically right here level with this side of the floor pan, lower, you know, it's way higher than this side of the floor pan. I don't even have the cage all the way up. I want it higher because I want a better fit up to the roof for my helmet, and so other people can fit in here, just a nicer fitting cage. So what I've been struggling with is I was trying to make boxes, you know, like, keep in mind all this is off camera because I'm just trying to figure out stuff before I'm bringing you guys to it. So I was thinking about building a plate like this. Like, it would work, but then still 3/4 of this I would have to weld to this floor pan, which I'm just not stoked about. And then I was talking with a bunch of guys, talking to them, I realized maybe the best idea is to bend the cage back out, because right now you can see it's a nice tight fit, but then you come down here and you're, you know, an entire hand away from the rocker, which is not good. I want to tie it into the rocker. I want to make a little shelf right here, have it sit nice, and not have to worry about anything. So what I'm going to do is either get a 2x4 or one of the pipes that's already notched, and I'm just going to put it in here, and I'm just going to hammer it down, hammer it down, hammer it down, hammer it down until it forces the bottom of the cage out to about where I need it. Then I can start planning these boxes. So once I get that fit up, I'll show you, and then I'll start on the boxes, and that's the way we're going to do this. I want the cage as tight up to this roof as I can get it, and that's what we're going to be doing. I got that 2x4, and I just kept hitting it down, hitting it down, hitting it down. And what this did is it spread out the hoop, and it also gave me the ability to find a point here on the rocker that I could put into it and then find a measurement here, and that way I can center the cage. And then what I'm doing to set the cage in place up top is right here, there's that one roof support that's in there, and I just have it sitting in the middle little wedge. Right now, technically, all the height for my helmet, I think it's like, it's either 5 or 6 either way, but you're supposed to have a certain amount from here to the top of the bar, and then from the back of your head to the front of the bar. So all that's already in spec. I already did that. This is all good. I took one of the 6x6 sheets. Another note is these aren't really 6x6. It's just whoever cut it on whatever day. So that's messed me up. So measure these before you start bending. The idea is to put it here on the rocker and then down to the bottom of the rocker or floor pan, whatever you want to call it. and then this will obviously be back here. So it'll be like that, and then I did my best to scribe a mark on the hoop. So right there, and then that'll sit on here. Remember, this is not going to be welded in yet. This will be tacked in place, and then I'll tack everything in the hoop, and then we'll have to break these tacks, and then we'll be able to pull this out, and then the cage will drop down. I could weld at least the center section of the hoop first, then put it back in, then re-tack it in place, get the down bars, all that kind of stuff. So not sure how I'm going about it yet. This is not a good video to try to give you guys because I really don't know what I'm doing. I'm figuring it out. I'm trying to use common sense, but for right now, I need to make this a good mark all the way around. I already got one over there, and I gotta pull it out, chop it, make sure it's as flat as possible, and then put it all back in, but this time with the plates sitting on top. Then I can eyeball everything up, and then we can start on installing some of the other stuff like the harness bar, the lat bar, and the rocker bar. I was able to get this pretty nicely conformed back here. So this is still a 6x6 plate, and I just ground a little bit off of it. According to the rules, you can have 6x6, meaning you can cut it all up, grind all kinds of stuff. So even though I ground that little bit away, there is going to be an extra plate right here, so that'll add to it. And I'm also going to make another one of these plates on the back side in here because there is a little gap right here. So I was just going to weld a plate inside to give this back side a little bit more structure, and then I'll weld to that all the way around, all the way down. I'll weld in here the best I can, and then I'll put this front cap on, weld that all up, and then we can weld the hoop. But for right now, this is going to be temporary. So I'm going to get this where I want it. I'm going to grind off some paint so I can tack. I'll grind off paint over there so I can tack, and then I'm going to put the hoop back in, get it exactly where I want it, exactly where everything is nice, level, no issues. And then I'll get a couple tacks, probably one right here, just 4 tacks. Ones that can easily be ground off. You cannot grind welds when you like put the stuff back together, but for in this case it's fine because they're coming off, getting ground down, and it'll just be like a new piece. It has really good fitment. It's hard to show you guys, but it fits really good. And then I also made sure that the angle going front to back is right. It's like 89 degrees. I think it's plenty. And also got the same distance side to side. So right now the hoop is right where it's going to be. The plates, I'm not sure if I'll tack them another time. And I'm thinking about tacking the cage to the plate. I'm not sure yet. But right now what I'm doing is trying to do the harness bar. And if you look in the rule book, it says that the harness bar needs to be no more than 4 inches below your shoulder. Right there. And then the 4 inches about there. I'm trying to put it as high up as possible, obviously. So right now what I'm doing is notching that bar. It is right here. So one side came notched, the other side did not. So I'm just gonna use an array of cut-off wheels, flap grinders. You don't gotta see it, it's gonna make a mess. But as soon as this gets in place, then I can actually tack it and get some decent welds around it. And then that'll kind of help this bar wanna stay out. Let's get that done. I'm trying to get this all done in one video for you guys. It's a while for me, but I'm trying my best to get this all done in one video. I think it looks pretty good. It's well within the marks. Right here it says 0 degrees. Here's where the belts will come out. All right, I just sat in here, and then while I was in the seating position, I had my wife measure my shoulders to this harness bar, the degree of the harness belt itself. So I had her put a roller, whatever, is nice and firm, on my shoulder to the bar, and then we put an angle gauge on it to find the exact angle. And the most ideal angle is about 10 degrees. At least that's what the rule book says. But it says you can go from 0 to 30 degrees to keep you from, in an accident, it like wrenching down on you and compressing your spine. So ours is right at 11 degrees, so I think we'll be just fine. So the harness bar is set up. Harness bar is now welded in place. I'm not certain if I'm gonna paint it or not. I got some new paint, some like knockoff steel it. It's from AutoZone, but it says it has stainless steel in it, so I think that's the idea of steel it. So I'm gonna do that at least on like the top of the bar and stuff like that. Need to go back through and just make sure like none of the tacks broke or nothing like that. And I'm trying to decide which one to tackle next. If I should go right to the down bars, but it requires 2 people and I don't have 2 people. You definitely need a helper when you're doing this job. There's too much crap that falls and whacks you in the head. Like I have been doing, I'm just gonna kind of get in there, figure this stuff out, and then I'll bring you guys along because it's gonna be way too much editing. I'm just trying to get this stuff done and show you just little tips and tricks and how to get a decent fit up. Right now, I think it's pretty good. It's tough to do on your own, so keep that in mind. Either pay somebody and hope their work's good, or get a buddy or 2, and then you'll be able to start knocking stuff out. I got the halo in. It's up here, it's hanging out. See, I have wood jammed under here on both spots, holding it up so it's nice and flush to the front here. I was trying to space it out evenly, and I just kept moving back and forth, so I just started walking around the shop and just finding random things that I could shove in that I had multiples of. So right here is a 8 AN weld bung. I have it on both sides. There is a 10 AN weld bung, and that's spacing it down. So after that, you gotta kind of make sure everything's pushed flush back. And then you get one of these kind of tube notcher things. I don't know what they're called, but the idea is you put it along here, and then you can kind of, it'll show you how much of the pipe you need to notch. I'll show you it when it's actually back in the car, all notched, ready to go. Got the halo as welded in as I could. It's in place. I got it kind of just hanging up now. But now we're gonna be doing the A-pillar bars. So we're gonna be taking the bar from about right here down, and we gotta either make a rocker box or just have a plate to the floor. That ice scraper's just holding on for dear life. You can see a little bit of a gap, but it's pretty even on both sides, so I'm fine with that. I got some decent welds on this side, about right there. Right there, I stuck it. It's very, it's very hard because you got to be this far away, have a nice tight arc, and you got nothing to sit on, nothing to prop on, and then your hand just goes, and then you stick the tungsten right in. So it's quite annoying. I got plenty of tungstens, but yeah, it just takes a bunch of time. So right now, where it stands, we have harness bar is totally welded in, halo is partially welded in, A-pillar bar is partially welded in. So now I gotta decide if I'm gonna do anything else with any other bars, which I'm not sure of. I was just contemplating doing the door bar so it would kind of hang out and be stable, but I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do now. Whenever it's time to do this, I gotta cut 4 tack welds on these plates, pull plates out, weld the cage, then stick it back up and weld the plates fully in. So it's still a lot of work. It is a lot of work. Yeah, I'm just gonna continue. Again, I'm trying to get this done in one video for you guys. On the internet, people say so many things. Like, people were saying that it would cost like 1,300 bucks to get a cage welded in. I can tell you right now, there's no way in hell I would have charged someone $1,300 for this. This is gonna take an entire week. You know, just do the math. $1,300 is not enough for this. And then I saw some people saying they paid 9 grand, 10 grand, but it's all different types of cages. So I don't really know. There's a lot of work that goes into this. So if you guys do this every day for a living, props to you. This is rough. I'm never gonna do one for a customer, and I will probably try to never do one again, because this is not fun. And I'm gonna start with this lower rocker bar. I would like it to be lower. As you can see, there's kind of a gap there. I don't really know if there's any sort of rule about that. It says a rocker box at the bottom of the hoop, so it's incorporated. I obviously can't go to the bottom because I'm gonna have the weld right there, and I'll have the weld right there, so I think that's a decent gap. I think that'll be fine. And then remember, the lateral support bars go right to the middle, and then I'll have my chair back there. It should be all set up, but it's looking decent. I'm just making sure that these that bar is indeed at 0, and if they're at 0, I'll just go ahead and weld that up. I'll try my best just to weld the whole thing totally. The dash bar, I do not have a piece big enough. So when you get these pre-bent kits, you got to remember a couple things. One is they probably made it many years ago. 2, they usually make it for interior cars, which I don't see why a car would have an interior with a 10-point, but so everything was made to have too much of a gap. At the end of this, I'll give you my summary of how I think this fits and if it's worth it, but it's all relative, you know? Do you have a tube bender? Do you want to buy an expensive tube bender? Do you want to buy all this tubing? Do you want to learn how to do it? Like, there's compromises everywhere. So for right now, I think we're okay. As long as this is decent enough, I'm fine with it. So I took the down bars, and they are, instead of being perfectly parallel, slightly kicked. If you stand right here, you can kind of tell on the video. Doesn't really look like you can even see it, but the top is kicked in. So I had to re-notch and just get it on that right angle, and then made sure I had measuring points. So I did from the frame rail over on both sides, and then I also did up here on the strut, right here to right here on both sides. And I think it turned out great. Like, it literally looks exactly how I wanted. It looks like a real cage now. The other good thing is now I will be able to tie into the strut tower. Plate and bar right here to here. It'll be a pain to weld it. I think that's the move. So if I do this, it'll be later, but just know that I can now tie it in. But I got about halfway welded. Looks decent. It's up there. I'm gonna try to get as much as I can, just because I don't want anything to move or go crazy when I lower this down. So after I'm done with a little bit more welding there, then I have to figure out, am I gonna start the door bars? Am I gonna do the dash bar? I really don't know. I need to drop this down at some point to get all the spots I missed. But with those down bars in, now I'm like, I got a second wind. I'm ready to keep going. So look at that shot now. it looks awesome. I have been making these down bars exact. So I found a nice spot on the body here, and I put the same exact O2 sensor bung on both sides, so I have the exact spacing. And then I put a ratchet strap on here, and I'm cranking this one in, so I got the exact same measurement from the front dash bar to the A-pillar bar. Got that all done, and then the new pipe came in, and I just cut that down. So I got it notched. It fits relatively good. I will have a little bit of a gap here, but that's nothing a little wire can't fix. But it looks really good. So I put it up as high as I could, and I think it won't be an issue mounting the steering wheel. You know, like, should be about right there. I think that'll be fine. So I'm just gonna grab the welder and just start welding this bar in. I'll weld it as much as I can since I have everything out. And then after that, I am gonna do the door bars. I'm gonna get them all in because I need this exact measurement and all this stuff perfect. And then I'll weld that in, and then I'll just have to fight with welding these to the floor plates. I've been working on the door bars now. There are rules for a door bar. It has to pass through your shoulder and your elbow. So while I'm sitting in this car, it needs to pass through my shoulder, through my elbow, to the bottom. I didn't find any degrees on it. I didn't find if it should be all the way at the bottom, all the way up, like, I don't know. I felt like right here is gonna land in a decent enough area and kind of looks similar to what I've seen on other cars. This side came pre-notched, and then this side didn't. So I got it fitting decently well. This is gonna be extremely hard to tack by myself, so I'm probably gonna have to wait for this one. Kind of goes right up there, right down there, and then there will be the bar. Maybe I'll try to tack it. I don't know. I gotta figure it out, but I'll see you guys in a minute. I did find a killer deal. Used parts. It's a blown up gear set where the third gear is blown out of it. So all I gotta do is order a new gear, third gear set, and yeah, I'll have a full aftermarket gear set for a spare transmission. And then I got another trans. I got 2 more bell housings and a quaif diff. This was a shop clean out, and they just wanted to get rid of stuff. They knew the gear set was cooked, knew how much of a pain it was to get a new gear and have to grind it, weld it on. So works out for me. So we will have an extra trans. I'm hoping that I'm still thinking, because now that I have a dog box now, that's a synchro gear set. So I'm in the middle of, do I build this to the same spec as this, and then I'll have a spare trans, but it'll be a synchro, I'll have to use the clutch? Or do I instead put a 399 or a regular CCM ring and pinion in, and then just build that for the Rabbit? So let me know in the comments, guys. That's an awesome buy, and that's why I didn't get anything done on the car yesterday. So what I did this morning was I came in and I cut every tack. So here's all the base plates. So I just ground down the tacks and then popped them out. The cage is now dropped down enough to where I'm still gonna struggle, but now I'll be able to fully weld all this. Fully weld back here. I can shift the cage all around. You can see it's just hanging out right now. These down bars are the biggest pain. So right now I'm just getting back to it. Got all my tungstens ground, got the heat in here on. Just gotta finish up these welds. This has really been kicking my butt. Also, guys, don't forget, I have a full service shop here. I've just been taking my vacation and working on this cage. It's been taking me a while, and I've been turning customers away. It's probably not the best business plan, but I need to get this done.
This car, as you see on the doors, this is my advertisement. Every time I'm at the track, somebody comes up, they're talking to me. This is bringing business in. So this is something that I have to do, have to get it done. It helps there and it helps me because this is something I've always wanted to do. I want to be the fastest all-motor Volkswagen in the world. That's the goals. That's what we're trying to do here. So let's get back into it. It's just gonna be a ton of me welding in terrible positions. Hopefully nobody uses this video to try to blackmail me. Right here, that weld is now completely done. These back bars are now completely done. The front A pillar is completely done. The dash bar is completely done. And I did get one of the door bars halfway done. I was anticipating this being a lot easier, but this one's in. Down there, I still gotta get that. I was thinking I'll just kind of move everything back, get that as good as I can. Then it's putting it back in with all the brackets in place. So that'll be another fumbling job. My idea behind it is to get it in place as much as I can, mark everything, you know, get all the widths, the side to side, the front to back, all that as marked as I can. And then I know that up here in this corner, the reason I don't have this door bar in is because this pipe's a little too long. So I gotta trim that just, you know, like this much at the bottom, and then I'll be able to use the ratchet strap to pull this leg in and be nice and square like this one is. So I still have more to do. Like it's hard to even take an accomplishment, you know what I mean? Like yeah, I got all that done, but there's still a ton more to do. So stay tuned until the end. I've already blown through almost 2 bottles of gas, 1 CO2 mix, 1 just straight argon. So this is a big endeavor. Right now we're finishing up all these boxes. So fully welded that in. This front box is totally done. Over there, I just got that one in the front, and then while that was cooling, I did this one in the front. So now I gotta go back, do one more plate in the front of this box. Finally, we were able to make these lat bars, and they were kind of tricky. I forgot that I actually had something to help with all this. It's one of these really cheap, terrible tube notchers from Harbor Freight, but I was able to get the job done. Basically, all I did was I took the pipes and I laid it behind everything to where it would come to about center, and then I got the angle finder and I had it on the pipe, and it was about like 52 or 53 degrees, I can't remember. And then we just put it in there and we cut the end of it. So now this fits up pretty snug right in there. It's a pretty nice fit up. And then down here, it's a pretty good fit up. Both bars fit decently. I'm just gonna get ready and weld them in, because that is like the last main large part of the cage. And then I'm gonna go ahead and get the door bar, and I'm probably just gonna do the same thing. Remember, these were already notched on the backside, so as long as that's fine, if I get it in the right spot, match it to that angle, I should be able to get the proper angle to
chop it right here and hope for the best. Then we're almost there. Like I said, this cage has been kicking my ass. It's finally looking like a race car again. So I'll see you guys in a minute while I'm in here welding everything up. The TIG welder settings are on DC, and the CFH of my argon is 25, and I'm using a Jazzy 10. I've used a Jazzy 10 for this entire project. I don't think there's any reason to use anything else. It's been plenty. I've had plenty of good coverage. There's nowhere that I thought I need more gas coverage. And I have been using ER70S2. Right there. You can grab that from pretty much anywhere. I think even Harbor Freight sells it. I have mostly been pulsing the pedal, but not with the machine. The machine does have pulse settings, but I've just been pulsing it with my foot. So it's at 130. I'm probably using like 120. When I have the really long stick out, because there's times when I have like basically 1.25 inches at least to get into the very tight spots, like right in here, I'm gonna have a huge stick out. Even then it's fine, and then I'll have to use the whole foot pedal to get it. But as for everything else, it's not a big deal. Haven't had any issues, so just gonna keep on going. So now you guys are here. We're at the end of the video. Obviously the cage is in. It took way more time, way more effort than I had anticipated. If I were to go back in time, what I would do, instead of buying a pre-bent roll cage from S&W, the other choice is there's nothing. This is the only kit that's semi-right. You know, we don't have cagekits.com for these cars. That stuff is all 3D scanned, it all works well. At this point in time, we do not have that. So if I were to go back, I 100% would just have found like a JD squared tubing bender off of Marketplace, and I would have done this all myself. So the cost of this cage kit, all right, was $950, and I went and picked it up. If you had it shipped to your house, I think it's another $200. With that cost, if you buy a used bending machine, you already have TIG welders and all that stuff because you're doing the job. If you buy a used bender and you buy all this chromoly tubing, which is 1 5/8 inches with a 083 wall, okay? If you buy that chromoly tubing in 10 foot, 15 foot, 20 foot sections, no doubt you could probably be under the price of this. I would say that the material alone is probably $400 maybe. I mean, you're buying it at a markup. If you have some sort of a wholesale, you might be able to get it even cheaper. Obviously the bending, that is a very tricky part. Why I say to not buy their kit is because yes, it's all bent, and yes, some of it was notched. But all the bends were too short. Their idea was to have you weld the cage to a VW floor pan. If you've ever seen a VW floor pan, it's so thin. If you hit the ground, you puncture a hole in it. So not only was it doing that, but if you welded it to the floor, you had about a 4.5, 5 inch gap to the ceiling. That means I'm gonna get in, I'm gonna smack my head. It would have been in the view of my helmet. It would have probably hit my helmet. And it would not have passed tech unless I was a hobbit. I'm not a hobbit. You may think I'm one, but I'm not. That was a huge issue. That's why I had to wind up building all of the boxes. Here's an example of the box right here. That gets it up onto the rocker sill and the rocker itself. So not only would have height been an issue, the second issue was that, again, only some of the tubes were notched. I had to notch, I'd say, 80% of the bars, and that's very difficult, especially when you get up into the front halo with the A-pillar bars, that's very tough. Based on those alone, I would have rather messed up a bend on my own. I would have rather had a bend that actually fit to the rockers to where I didn't have to make giant boxes. I could have made at least a smaller box. If you were to make it fit how they wanted you to fit, I would have probably had it, the bars would have been probably at the door or maybe probably below, okay? So not only does that make getting in and out awful, it makes sight awful, because I decided I'm gonna make this fit as best as I can, and I think you guys see that I achieved that goal with what I had. So the halo is all the way up against the roof. The main roof bar, the main hoop, is actually sitting in a ridge, a body section for the roof. It's all the way up there. Everything's nice and tight. But because of that, there were a few pipes that did not have the length. The dash bar, for example. The dash bar was about 5 or 6 inches too short. So on top of that payment that I paid them, the $900, I then had to spend $70 on just getting a piece of pipe here quickly. That was a headache all on its own. Then also the door bars. The door bars were about this much just right. I can't tell you how lucky I got that I got the space I wanted, and I literally notched about a 1/4 inch of this front pipe and it fit well. Got very lucky on that. But then the other thing was the rear rocker bar, this lower bar, that was absolutely wrong and way too short. It was about 8 inches too short. So because that was too short, I then had to take another bar from the kit, which was the original harness bar, and cut that down to that. Like, I had to mix match all these pieces. Wound up using a Harbor Freight tubing notcher. That helped a great deal. I was able to get it done. I just want you guys to know that you gotta lower your expectations if you're buying a pre-bent cage kit. I spent the time, I got it all good. This took me a long time, guys, a long time. Remember, the weight of the cage was about 86 pounds. I think if you were to buy a mild steel cage, probably gonna be about double that weight. If you have that weight that you can take out somewhere else in your car, if you have to buy a pre-bent cage, I would say almost say mild steel or DOM is better, because you can just MIG weld it. Because like I said, nothing comes notched well enough. There were plenty of bars as well, like the lateral bars, that the notch was so wrong, I had to wind up flipping it around, making my own notch, and cutting off their notch and making it fit. Keep that in mind. If you had a cage that you could MIG weld, it probably would have been done a long time ago, but it just wouldn't have been as nice. You wouldn't have the weight savings. But yeah, guys, I want to say thank you for watching. I did as best as I can, as best to my abilities. If you guys like what you saw today, give me a like, comment, subscribe. I do have these older shirts that I do like, but we want to change our stickers and stuff to meet the race car. I do plan to make some more. If you guys are interested, just let me know in the comments. It's not going to be something that I'm pre-ordering or anything like that. If enough people were interested, I'll get some extra shirts. In the link below is always my email address. So that way you guys can message me. If you're far away, it's fine. You can tow your car here. We can even work out some stuff where maybe I'll come get your car. But we do everything here, all Audi, VW stuff, anywhere from Mark 1 to, B9. Bring what you got. It'll get worked on. It'll get done. I have a couple projects outside right now. If you guys are interested in seeing customer projects, again, comment down below. I have a big turbo 180 job here where the guy got in a wreck and he basically were swapping shells. This was a car that I helped build. I didn't build it completely, but it makes a decent amount of power. It's a little fun car. It's just a fun kind of weekend GTI. If that's something you guys would be interested in seeing, let me know. And then also, we do have some shop upgrades, guys. Over here in this corner, I've been thinking about it. I'm still torn where I'm gonna put this thing, but I did wind up getting a plasma CNC on a Black Friday deal. And I have things in my head that I wanna make and possibly start selling to the community. If you guys are, again, interested in that, let me know some things that you guys would be interested in having made. The easiest things would be like delete plates. like on the 3.6 when you need to delete the vacuum pump, water pump, or the fuel pump, that kind of stuff can be made. If you guys, I'm going to be making a front cross member, so I want the front of that in a chrome moly tube. It'll be the front cross member. I plan to make something good for the community. It's going to be Mark II, Mark III in the beginning. And then also, because I have that 1.8T out there, I might be making the front bash bar for that. And that way you can put a big front mount and have it fit nicely. So if you guys have any other ideas, just let me know. But again, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. This has been a big job. Just thanks for watching, man.